have a community in upstate New York that I am the spiritual leader of. And the term that is used for me here is the term rabbi. You might use the more extended term Messianic Rabbi, because that means a rabbi that has to do with Messiah, and we have examined the historical record and believe that Yeshua, known as Jesus to many, is indeed the Messiah and is indeed the one that God sent to do extraordinary things here in us and through us. But the term rabbi does not mean pope. It does not mean authority. It does not mean someone who rules over everybody else. It doesn't mean someone whose preference is more important than other people's preference. It simply means teacher. And what I have experienced, I am happy to teach and happy to pass on. Now, many people will think that what a teacher does is a teacher ends up preaching from a pulpit or preaching at a worship service or talking to large groups of people. And usually my groups of people aren't large, but yes, I do talk to groups of people, and that is part of my regular responsibility. But another thing that goes on with me is I have the honor and I have the privilege on a regular basis to talk to individuals. And I get to encourage them to end up telling me their stories. I get to hear them and have them tell me about what they believe they've been made for. I get to hear them tell me what they would like to accomplish and what God has put on their heart. And really, part of being a rabbi, I believe, is to be an encourager. And so what ends up happening is Yeshua, when he was talking to those who really didn't believe that he had a legitimate ministry, used the imagery of a shepherd and used the imagery of sheep. And he compared himself to a shepherd of sheep. And those who challenged him and said, you really aren't a serious teacher and we don't have to listen to you, Yeshua countered with the concept saying, my sheep hear my voice, know me, and recognize me. Yeshua countered that the problem with his ministry wasn't that he was an illegitimate teacher. It was instead that those who belonged to him would hear and recognize and benefit from him. And those who were opposed to him didn't actually belong to him. It's a very different way of looking at things because so many people want crowds, so many people want large numbers, so many people want everybody to embrace the same message. But it is within your control to determine who you are, who you belong to, what the right path is for you to walk, where the truth really lays, and how you can end up having a life that's effective, that's fruitful, and that transforms people. And I hope that whether it's me or whether it's somebody else, that you have a teacher in your life. This teacher isn't somebody whose ideas have to be listened to no matter what. But the teacher is going to be somebody who gets to know you, someone who spends time with you, somebody who wants to hear from you, someone who listens to what your aspirations and your desires are, who sees where you are and can encourage you towards moving towards what God has already made you to be and what you're already partially successful in, but you would like to even go further with. So this is the game of spiritual development. This is the game of following God. This is the game of learning something and integrating it into your being a transformed and a changed person. And I hope that you have your rabbi, your teacher, I hope that you have your encourager. And one of the things that's interesting to me is in the past week or two, I've had people from Connecticut that I've been able to encourage. I've got somebody from Vermont that I was able to encourage. I've got someone from central Pennsylvania that I was able to encourage. And a couple of them used exactly the same terminology. And as they shared their lives, as they shared their aspirations, as they shared their hopes, as they shared what they hope they're going to be able to do, got a couple of people who said, thanks for the kick in the butt. And sometimes the love that you get isn't going to necessarily just be warm, pillowy, and something that you immerse yourself into because it's so soft, cuddly, and comfortable. But sometimes the very comfort, the very teaching, the very encouragement, the very thing that you receive may feel a little bit more like a kick in the butt. But I hope that it's a friendly fatherhood. I hope that it's paternal in a fashion where you know that the person who's doing this is so excited about you and for you and in terms of what you're doing. And I hope that you take this, run and move and enjoy it, and that it makes a difference in you and that it makes you a blessing to others. Shalom.